So I'm going to glue up the neck, and what we need to do is put the bridge and the tailpiece in. Hey, it doesn't matter which direction it goes. And put the tailpiece in, and then dry fit the neck, put a couple of strings on it to make sure the alignment of the neck, because obviously once it's glued, if it's slightly this direction, we can't change it. It's not a bolt-on neck, so we really need to make sure that we know what's going on here. So what we're going to do is fit these in first, and we just hammer them in. And one thing you definitely want to do is make sure that you test the depth of the hole. Okay, so it's from the tip of this toothpick to my thumbnail. So I check this, and yes, it is definitely deep enough. So I've actually already checked all four and checked them against the 4 bushings. As it turns out, the bushings are the exact same depth, length, whatever. But I did check them all just in case 2 of them were longer and these holes were maybe shorter or something. Because you don't want to get it all the way in and have it like 2 millimeters sticking out. Because now you have to pull it out, drill the hole deeper, and put it back in. Another thing that you definitely want to pay attention to is you need a ground wire. I don't know if you can see that little hole on the side of this. You see that little hole on the side? Sort of, okay. Well, there's a hole, trust me, if you can't see it. I'm going to put what's going to be the ground wire for the bridge, because the strings need to be grounded, through the hole. Okay, I did not strip this end so that it can just easily go into the little tiny drilled hole. I did strip this end, but I'm not going to twist them because I actually want them flat and fanned out. Okay, because what's going to happen is they're just going to be sitting in the hole when I cram this thing into it. So I don't want it twisted and have it thick. I want it as thin and flat against the sides as I can. So I'm going to reach behind and pull that through. Alrighty, now we're going to move to the floor because we're in my basement and the floor is concrete. So we're going to move to the floor and bang these things in. I'm not going to do it on top of the washing machine. My wife would not like that. So we had to readjust a little bit because there's an overhead light and I keep kind of moving and making shadows. But anyway, I wanted to test run how this would go in because it seemed like it wouldn't fit into the hole, and it actually starts to go in pretty easily. So I figured we would roll. So I have a block of wood, nice hard solid plywood, and just regular old hammer, and I'm going to slowly tap this in. Okay, that went in as easily as I could possibly hope. You know what? We'll put in the other one with the ground wire. Okay, so I am just pulling the ground wire because I don't want any of the insulation anywhere near the hole because, you know, that's no good. And I want to poke that in. the wire. Okay, there we go. Okay, make sure that I have the right one. Yes. So now I'm going to hammer this one in. And there we are. Bam. Okay, so now I'm going to do the other two. You guys don't need to see this. So I put the other little bushings in and I bolted the pieces on. This actually bolts down and makes it really rock solid, but there's no point in doing that yet. What we're going to do now is, the whole point of this is we're going to glue the neck on. So the neck fits right into this little slot, and the neck should be, as this is, kind of slightly angled so that it doesn't slide in this way. It's slightly wider at this end, slightly wider at this end, so it does actually just slide down in. So what we're going to do is, the reason for doing all of this, we're going to put the two outside strings on and check the alignment of the neck. So what I'm doing is putting the two outside tuners on. I'm hoping that I don't actually have to screw them in with those little tiny screws that keep them lined up, because that would just be a pain in the neck. I put the two tuners on, put the strings on. So what I'm doing is I have the strings in the two outside slots. I have the strings on the two slots on the bridge here, the outside, of course, slots, the 2E. I just used, I think it's like an E and a B string, and it feels like I actually have the high E here and the B string as the high E. Doesn't matter. All we're doing is just checking the alignment. So pulling the strings kind of tight on the tuners gives us more or less a straight line. So now I can slightly wiggle, and I'm pushing down on the little tenon of the neck, just so that it's down seated where it's going to be glued. There's a little bit of kind of wiggle to the neck, so we can kind of wiggle the neck and then clamp it down so that the strings will be evenly spaced. The two outside strings will be evenly spaced along the neck. Okay, so, make sense? Excellent. So I'm going to loosen the strings and lift the neck out and place it over here. Okay, my assistant is actually going to hold. You got it? It's going to hold the neck. Okay, perfect. So of course I just dry fit the neck. Now I'm going to put the glue in, and I'm just using Tight Bond Original. They have like Tight Bond 2, Tight Bond 3, I think. It's like waterproof or something. But whatever. Okay, so we're going to put the glue in the neck pocket. Okay, is the neck pocket seen on the video there? Okay, so the bottom of the neck pocket, the sides, in the sides of where the neck tenon goes, but we're going to try to not put so much in that it all comes pouring out everywhere. Okay? So, I'm going to kind of put some glue in there. And now, put that aside so you can see what's going on. I'm just going to kind of spread that around. Okay, so as they say, like wood glue is even stronger than the wood itself. So, you really, really don't need an insane amount of glue. So I'm just kind of getting it all in the corners and everything, because I do want a nice solid glue joint here. Okay, one thing I like about the wood glue is it stays good for quite a long time. Like you don't have to like hurry, 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 get right to it. Okay, I know I'm sure my hand is like in the way, but trust me, nothing exciting is happening here. I'm just spreading glue on everything. Okay, I believe I have glue pretty much on everything. Make sure I get it up on the sides there. Okay, setting this aside. So, I got it. So I'm going to set this in. Okay, so that is in. Going to tighten these up. So one thing that these strings are doing is not only aligning the neck, but helping to pull the neck really tight into that neck socket. So that's a little added bonus. And they really got loosened up. Okay, so they are now in. Okay, not a lot of glue is seeping out. That's beautiful. And I covered everything with glue, so very happy about that. Okay. It is in there nice and sturdy. Beautiful. In the piece of wood, the black fits perfectly in there. That's wonderful. So I'm going to use a little just piece of scrap wood underneath. Assistant, I'm going to need you over here, buddy. Kind of just hold the body up, but I need to get underneath. Yeah. Got it?
Got it.
Okay. Got that. Yikes, I don't know how in the world somebody does this with just themselves. Okay, you can put it down. So all I did was just snug it up just enough that it'll hold. Okay, and now the neck needs to pull tiny bit down to the treble side. No, actually that, make sure it's all in the slots and everything. That actually looks really good. Okay, so I'm clamping this on, and you definitely do not want to tighten it like a complete lunatic. You definitely don't want to over tighten, because you can actually starve the joint. You can actually starve the glue joint. Okay, it fits.
Starve it from what?
It's a good question. From glue. If you clamp it so tight that almost all of the glue oozes out, now the wood has squeezed all the glue out, there's not enough glue to hold us together. Believe it or not. So there you go. So what I did here was I put the clamp, this clamp on slightly to the bass string side, because this clamp was slightly to the treble string side, just to sort of help even things out a little. Okay, so the strings actually look good, and it's tight, and there's no glue to clean up. This is like, I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, the bridge and the tailpiece went on too easily. They like went perfect. One of them I actually thought went in a little angled. It looked a little angled, but everything lined up, everything's fine. The neck, which I thought was going to be the hardest part, I've never glued a neck in, ever. And it's perfect. Okay. Well, you know what, folks? Definitely stay tuned, because I'm sure one of the next steps, it's going to hit the fan, because things just don't go this easily for me. But anyway, stay tuned. So we've glued on the neck. We're going to let this sit, since we're in quarantine and we have nothing to do. Although I'm eager to keep going with this, I'm going to let it sit for a couple days. There's no rush. So, see you soon. Bye.